The scientific measurement of evil. This world is a lie. If we could take this world and distill it down to its most elemental state, we would find a lie. This lie permeates every part of this world system, and it has infected every thought we think, unless that thought is tied intrinsically to logic. This lie that is this world is not a statement or proposition. Such a proposition would be obscene, contradictory, and blasphemous. The lie of this world is a desire, a lust. It is a desire that occupies men's hearts. It does not deny the truth. It seeks to overthrow the truth. It wants to take the truth and corrupt it, to be used against those who believe the truth. It does not destroy the truth, it merely gives the unbeliever something else to live under. The truth is, God exists. This is the most concrete and uncompromised way of saying the truth. No one denies this, because they cannot. The lie is not of God's reality and so is not composed of information. The devil created an emotion that makes truth irrelevant. This emotion is akin to an addiction. The devil never told God that he, God, does not exist. No matter how evil the devil becomes, he cannot deny God. What the devil did was deny the reality that God created, exists. This is why he had Adam, through Eve, destroy the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. Truth cannot be destroyed, but we can choose not to live by the truth. We can live by emotion rather than by reason. Evil is mundane. It is not some arcane wizardry beyond human comprehension. It is both lust and panhandling. As the devil wants the high seat of God, man lusts after the things of this world. The lust is a sin because it corrupts the mind. The achievement or fulfillment of lust is evil for it corrupts the things of God. Good can be measured in the creation, for what is perfect is also good. Evil can be measured in the destruction of perfection of what is good. What is good have value. Good and evil are separated by the line that divides the positive from the negative. Both of these are values, and values can be quantified. The devil does not want us understanding evil. In our understanding, what is evil is what is wrong in our eyes. Beating a woman is wrong. We all agree this is so. But the woman thinks the sense of guilt restores him to her and eliminates any harm that was done. We are unable to see the screaming of a child as evil or the vengeance of a father on his child's abuser as good. Evil corrupts, and it corrupts nothing to a greater degree than our understanding of evil. But what is good, but obedience? The slave is the highest of all saints. When we are required to obey, the sin of the slave is taken up by the slave owner. The girl is a slave to love and expresses her love by submitting to a man, the head of the house. The love is not wrong, the wrong lays with those who betray the love of the girl. The man who is a slave to another, must serve the other. Servitude is not wrong. The wrong is with those who use others wrongly. The difference between the slave and a lover is in how they are treated, not in the level of their servitude. Indeed, the lover may be the greater slave. The point is, we all know there is good and evil, and we all agree evil is abhorrent. We know there is a line we ought not cross, but we cannot agree on where the line is. But how do we parse the line, if we have abandoned the idea of the analytical good? That is the good that exists independent of the human mind. The problem with man is that he sees good as evil if it matches his feelings. He confuses good with a kind of feeling. We see this in Eden. Eve saw the fruit as pleasing and good to eat. She thought that how she saw it, made it good, therefore suitable for her and Adam. God forbidding them to eat what they saw was good, was wrong and dictatorial. Eve had no idea where the line between good and evil was. All she knew was that the fruit looked good to her. But what is this fruit produced by the tree of knowledge of good and evil? Some think this forbidden knowledge is about sex. But why is sex such a focal point of these thinkers? I doubt it plays such a major role in Christian theology or even has much significance in the context of good and evil. The centrality of sex has more to do with the preoccupation of men with sex, than with the nature of good and evil. But perhaps this fascination with the act of procreation, has more to do with the avoidance of what is important, than with what matters. Perhaps sex is simply an easy way to distract us from what is really going on. The tree of knowledge of good and evil cannot simply be about sex. Sex is not hardly on the radar when talking about good and evil. What is the fruit of this tree? What does the act of eating it represent? A tree is a system, and the only thing able to be systemized is knowledge. If a tree represents a system of knowledge, it means there is one source to which everything is connected. A system is always logically organized. In common language, this would mean the knowledge is logical. All this information is derived from a single source. The knowledge of good and evil is deductive, not inductive. What are the fruits of deduction? It is a reality, but it is a reality with two phases or faces. The logically coherent person knows what can be deduced and what is not deducible. The logician knows contradiction as well as he understands tautology. The point is, truth is deductible. Reality is a system of analytical truth. All lies lay outside of this system of deductive knowledge. The fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil is two realities, two races, and two distinct views about reality. Eating of this fruit destroys, not the system but our ability to be guided by it. The system has been replaced by the one who expropriated it. Good and evil are relativized in the mastication of the fruit. The two are made as one. This symbolism is repeated in Ezekiel 3 verse 3, Jeremiah 15 verse 16, Revelation 10 verses 9 to 10. The scroll tastes sweet but becomes bitter when ingested. The scroll contains information that is to be conveyed to God's people. In Revelations the information is at first good, but when understood, it takes on a darker tone. Such is the Word of God. To many it seems like good news, but it is good news only to those who comprehend it. What we are actually faced with in the story of Eden is a logical system that is corrupted by man because he does not want to live logically. Man does not like the conclusions that logic takes man to. Mankind cannot make a better system, but he can corrupt the system God gave us. But think about this. We are talking about the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. We are talking about a systemic body of information, but man rejects this. Then what he rejects is knowledge, especially analytical knowledge. Man has rejected what truly is scientific knowledge. Man rejects predictability and the hard knowledge of science. We can still do science when it comes to the issues that do not directly impact us. Physics and chemistry and so on, give us reliable knowledge. What about the humanities? What about when we turn the microscope on our own lives? The humanities are a dialogue, but they are not science. But that is what was designed to happen when Adam ate of the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. He destroyed the analytical coherency of reality. The fruit is truth or even science. What fruit can the tree of knowledge bear but predictability, and in that sense, a system of scientific measurement? If we can measure good, we can also measure evil. We need to reverse the evil done since Eden. We can't go back, because entropy cannot be reversed. We need to stop the evil even if we cannot repair the damage done. We need to create progress. We need to fulfill our mission. There cannot be a purpose unless perfection is possible. There cannot be perfection if we are not attracted to it. Eating the fruit of the tree of knowledge destroyed the tree in that it no longer represented a goal. It was not to be eaten because it is not food for the journey. Perfection is the journey's end. But man wanted to take a shortcut to where he was to go. So, he went for the fruit. The end appeared to justify the means. But that is not how logic works, and it is not how we accumulate knowledge. The tree of knowledge of good and evil was the perfect system towards which we were to aim. We cannot create the perfect system in its totality, perhaps, but we can stop creating its evil alternative. In our world, the end of evil ought to be enough. This is perfection. It ought to be obvious that if evil wastes or destroys what good has created, that good must exist prior to evil. Evil attacks a pre-existing good. But even so, the good as a perfect system always exists, it cannot be destroyed. One can move further and further away from perfection, but what is perfect remains perfect. It is only our distance from it that changes. But what do we aim for when we aim for perfection? It's not a matter of flicking a switch, a process is involved. Good and evil are opposite states. They hold an inverse relationship to each other. This is the basis of the spiritual war. But this war is not fought in the flesh. The spiritual war has an external component, but really, the biggest feature of spiritual warfare is fought internally. It is a war of flesh versus spirit. We need to overcome the flesh, but most Christians have no idea what this means or what the correlate of it is, scientifically speaking. Yet, the truth is in front of our eyes. It is logically deduced from one simple equation. The perfect must exist before the imperfect, for the imperfect is imperfect due to its failure to meet the criteria of perfection established by the perfect example. In short, we have to start from the analytical perfection of God's system. This was corrupted by Satan. He attempted to destroy this perfect system, but if it was possible to destroy it, it would not be perfect. God would not create anything less than good. Look at it this way. God created a perfect system. All we needed to do was follow reason to bring the earth into perfection, but the devil turned and went the other way. Yet, what can the ungodly do to perfection? This question can best be answered by how we fight this war against the flesh. There are physical correlates to the war, but the main feature of the war is the reconstruction of the tree of knowledge. We can read the Bible, but if we do not understand it or, what is worse, do not implement it as teachings, what good is the reading of it? As we grow in faith, we become changed. But we cannot add matter or truth to the world. We cannot make more truth. We can uncover more lies. The truth cannot be made more perfect, but nor can it be destroyed. However, humans do have the potential for lying to themselves, as well as finding better ways to do things, which moves them higher up the knowledge tree. Without the truth of God, the blind lead the blind. The spiritually immature lead dark lives filled with the untruths they tell themselves. The lies do not end with the one they tell themselves, that there is no God. What is important to note, is that there is no God for them in their reality. God cannot exist in their reality according to their terms. The fallen have eliminated God from their universe. In the reality of the flesh, there is no tree of knowledge, other than the one that took root in them. Without the tree of knowledge to guide and perfect them, the fallen have nothing but their own devices, and that comes down to the law of the jungle. The fallen rely on the power of the flesh to settle their differences. When the flesh is strong enough to overpower others, the strong get to make laws and govern the weak. When we follow God, we follow logic. We get right answers. We get progress. Progress can be measured as value added to assets. It is therefore possible to measure evil in a scientific, precise, and quantitative way. Technically, this is best done as part of an experiment. Life is an experiment with the flesh being the control group and the spiritually mature serving as the test group. However, if we know the spiritually mature add value to the things of God, then simply by looking at the economic performance of a person, we can discern if they are living parasitically or productively. Perhaps you subscribe to some arcane and obtuse view of evil. But evil is not complicated. Adam took what did not belong to him and to which he had no right. Nothing has changed. Sin is still man's failure to mature spiritually and doing that which retards his or her development. Evil destroys value either implicitly or explicitly. We may rob a bank or fail to make the best use of our resources, both are evil, both retard development individual for ourselves and generally, for society. All we need is an economy based on cash transactions and an account book to measure evil.